Hey, welcome to your weekly corner, Späti. It is a jam-packed episode because the news is happening. Woo!
Yay!
I am joined by Uma.
Hello.
And Nick.
Hi.
He's still mad.
Yeah.
Not first.
I'm not mad. I was busy deep in thought. Ciarán interrupted me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just thinking about like, damn, it's crazy. Like, you know, like MF in history feels like a decade happening in a few days. Isn't that wild? Someone go wake Lenin up.
It was a good week for sharing the Tintin meme.
It was,
yeah. Tonton for our French listeners.
It was the most horrible thing ever when I was told that Tintin is Tonton and like its original language. That was
but like Tonton and Tintin are different. I feel like are different personas. Like Tonton was a member of La Resistance, and Tintin joined the like Flemish wing of the SS.
No! Not my Catalan Tintin. He would never.
Oh yeah, he's in something else. He's in like ETA.
Exactly.
Tintin is a blank slate. He's whatever you want to be, baby. Anyway, first thing we should do in a serious update is we turn to Uma to tell us what's going on in Spain. I've heard it's all been great and they figured it all out and they know who to blame for the floods. Everyone's in agreement on that.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is fine. Don't look into it. No, so basically what was it last week? At the time of recording, so 2 weeks ago, if you're listening to this, the king, President Sanchez, the queen, and the president of the Valencian community, Mazón, all went on like a little tour. Well, no, they were going to go on a tour, but they went to the most affected town, Paiporta, in Valencia, and they were met. I'm sure everybody has seen the images now, but they were met with so much violence and hostility that they had to cancel the tour. And it was quite funny to see the king and the queen get pelted with mud. It was also quite fucked up in the sense that it has surfaced that many of the people that instigated most of the violence were not people that live in Paiporta, were organized far-right organizations, especially one called Revuelta, which is funded by Vox, by the way. It's not in any politically or like, it's not like the youth wing of Vox or anything like that, but it has been proven that it's been funded by Vox. Because it
can be like is it like effectively the youth wing without officially being it?
Basically, yeah. They still keep saying that they don't have any, they don't subscribe to politics. It's just to, what is it, like to defend Spain and all this fucking nationalistic bullshit.
Defending Spain, never political. Absolutely not.
Exactly.
Not political.
Yeah.
Defending from who? Oh, that would be a political choice. We can't say that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll leave it up to interpretation, but we all know what it means. So there's this video of the king specifically speaking to two young men. They must be maximum 20. They're like very young. And one of them literally has a fucking blue División Azul sweatshirt, which La División Azul was the Spanish soldiers, fascist soldiers that went to help invade the Soviet Union for Hitler, right?
Barbarossa,
Yeah. So he had that sweatshirt on, and they were speaking, and it's the only people that really got to have a proper conversation with the king And there's a lot of conspiracies coming up, but honestly, I do kind of believe them because apparently there's videos that show that the actual neighbors of the city were cordoned out were pushed back by the police. But then all these like neo-Nazi kids were allowed to be around the king, the queen, and Sanchez and Mazón. And what happened as well is that all these neo-Nazis started chanting Sanchez hijo de puta, so like Sanchez son of a bitch, which makes absolutely no sense because you have Mazón there, who is the main person who, responsible for this.
Include him in the chant at least.
At least, bare minimum, include him there. But no, it was super focused against Sanchez. And turns out, and it ended up that one of these Revuelta neo-Nazis, who later came out in the Telegram chat of the Revuelta and confirmed that it was him, hit Sanchez in the back with a shovel. And there's a video of him being kind of carried out. I mean, he's standing, he's walking, but you can see he's like being held up. And he's a massive dude as well. And he's being held up.
He's walking like someone who's been hit with a shovel.
Yeah. So he keeps walking, but like he's being kind of held by the underarms by his security people. And there's been rumors that he was rushed to a hospital after that. I don't want to. I can't. We don't know. You can't really confirm it. He did say that it was clearly a neo-Nazi who attacked them. And then there was proof, like this neo-Nazi came out and was like, yeah, that was me, Oh,
you would claim that, right? Like if you were a neo-Nazi, that's like a big...
Yeah, but
you gotta take credit for that.
It's funny because all the Spanish press was like, oh, how dare you say he was neo-Nazi? It was an accent or it was a concerned citizen or whatever. And then this guy was like, haha, yeah, I got him. It's like, well, now what? What are you going to say, And it's been really, the politics of all of it has been so dumb because all these neo-Nazis are basically shifting the blame to Sanchez. And a lot of people who maybe are not so politically aware or whatever, and obviously have these raw emotions of like, I literally just lost my house, are kind of misplacing their anger as well. Obviously, Sanchez is not completely innocent. He could have forced, quote unquote, himself onto the situation and taken over much earlier. But legally, he really couldn't. It would have to been like a kind of like when he established that nobody could leave their houses during the pandemic. Like it would have to be a very serious thing. And then they would have complained about that as well, right? If he had done that, all these neo-Nazis would have also been like, oh, he's a dictator, coup d'etat, or whatever, all of that. But so all this anger is being misplaced against Sanchez. Meanwhile, every day we get new and new information about Mazón. Mazón on the day of the main day, the 29th of October, he was on a private lunch that he left at 6 p.m. So hours after.
That's like...
It's the most Spanish thing ever, first of all, leaving a lunch at 6 p.m.
That's like that Dutch magazine that's being mean to Southern Italians. That's like what they're like, oh yeah, they take these like 4 or 5 hour lunches.
Yeah, but he was literally doing that while everybody was trying to reach him and be like, dude, this is getting serious. Please, do something. He left at 6 p.m. this lunch, which at first he said was private. And now to save his ass is saying that it was a business lunch, but he won't say with who. Right? Because it's not a business lunch. And then it turns out that he joined the fucking meeting that his government was having, the emergency response of the section of the government was having, 2 hours later than what it was after it started.
Well, hang on, so 8 p.m.? Like this is the same day?
Yeah, almost 8 p.m. Yeah, on the same day. At 7:45 or something like that p.m. So also, he was gone. So he left this lunch at 6 p.m. and then was randomly gone for an hour and 45 minutes Nobody could reach him. And then he shows up to the meeting when all the towns are already flooded, because at 8 p.m. that's when the alarm went out, but people were already with water up to their necks, right? And so that came out today, literally. And then also it came out that the government actually called the Valencia, so the central government actually called the Valencian government 4 times throughout the whole day, saying, hey, do you guys need help? Hey, do you guys need help? Do you guys need us to send the military unit, the emergency unit? And they were all like, no, we don't need help. No thanks. 4 times. So Sanchez actually did, or his government at least, actually did try to do something. And then there's all this misplaced anger against him when who they should be literally lynching should be Mazón. Yeah, and Mazón got off like pretty, everybody was throwing mud at the king and queen for like, being privileged and nobody likes them. And Sanchez got a shovel at the back and Mazón was just chilling there. Which is like, you should have fucking lynched this guy, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Mazón was taking to the podium being like, it's so sad what's happened to this community. They might have to have only 2-hour lunches now. This is a real tragedy that has befallen Valencia.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I do enjoy the other piece of information that has come to light since we last talked about this. And by we, I mean you and Nick, which is Mazón attempting to be Spain's representative for Eurovision at one point in his youth.
Yeah. I saw it on my timeline and then a listener tagged me on it like, hey, Ciarán is gonna love this. And I was like, oh my God.
And I do.
yes, he will. And but it's such a bad song as well.
Oh yeah.
My God, it's some weird sexist Spanish song.
Yeah. Well, Spain only got good at Eurovision again like 3 years ago. So like anything prior to that. And also this didn't even make it. This was like a candidate to be Spain's song. And another song got picked over it. And you're just like, it's such a European fucking book. Like I hate when people are like, Ciarán, you pay attention to Eurovision too much. I'm like, no, it's important here. It rebounds back to politics. The people who don't do well in Eurovision, after their dreams of being a singer or a musician have been shattered, they're like, well, time to get into Valencian politics, I guess. This is where we end up.
Sorry, I just got a notification that he named who he was having lunch with, which is a Valencian journalist called Maribel Vilaplana, to make her the CEO of the public television, the public Valencian television. And I don't know who Maribel Vilaplana or whatever her name is, but I'm pretty sure she's like a piece of shit if he was having lunch with her and like wanted to give her the direction of the public television.
All right. Mazón, here, free political advice. This is what you gotta do. You gotta get out on the podium and just be like, fully commit to like, I was having lunch with, and she's like talking. I wanted to leave. This is how you get in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you need to double down with the base in the right wing, you can claim it's a women thing. Yeah, that's just right. Like that's how you do. That's how he's gonna come out on top. Free political.
Yeah, and she just kept ordering too much food and.
She took some of my fries, and I'm like, if you wanted fries, you should have ordered fries. Mazón just needs to go up there and do like a very dated stand-up comedy set about how women act.
Just the way. Have you seen him talk though? Just the way he moves.
I've only seen him sing.
It would be so funny if like you were like, wait, Mazón, the guy who tried to enter Eurovision, is the president of.
If I knew him from that first, that would be. Oh, I wish. I really wish.
Valencian
we heard
starlet.
Valencian superstar?
What?
No, he's innocent. He'd never. I love him. From his pop quiz. How does he talk though? I'm curious.
No. Sorry, I'm stuck on this. Everyone in Valencia sings like it's like Les Miserables.
Yeah.
No. He speaks. He has a little bit of like the same vibes as Macron in the sense that he's like tiny and tries to be like more than he is, but also
Tiny but not comfortable with it.
Exactly. But also just obviously because I've mostly seen him talk after everything. So he's just very nervous all the time. And he's just like, shifty and like weird. He's just so weird. He's a very weird person.
Typical tiny man bullshit, I say as a 6'5" podcaster. Don't look into how tall I am.
But like I've only ever seen him since the flooding. So yeah, he's like shifty and nervous, and he really talks like someone who's having his whole political career probably fall to the ground around him. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh god. Well, fuck that guy. Anyway, and our news. We should also hang on. We should shout out the donation stuff.
Oh yeah. If you want to help, we're gonna put. Well, it's already in the link in the description of the episode that we did on Valencia, but we're also gonna put a link in this description. So if you want to check that out, and if you cannot donate, which is obviously absolutely fine, you can still share that on your social media.
Yeah. Cool. Well then, next story then, in a shift of tone. We have some Israel bullshit to talk about, and the first of that is fun little piece, which is the American ambassador threatening the Irish government over the Occupied Territories Bill.
Really? The ambassador in Ireland. Sorry.
Yeah, the American ambassador to Ireland. So for anyone who doesn't know, this has been a kind of like a long saga in Irish politics, which is this bill I think was first proposed in 2019, possibly earlier. Mm-hmm. And the Occupied Territories Bill would make it basically would make BDS kind of like the official government position of Ireland, but like in a kind of like two-statist way, in like a very specific, like, do not engage, like you cannot do business with any company that's like doing stuff with or in like Gaza and the West Bank. Mm-hmm. Basically, that's like not actually Palestinian or whatever. Like kind of what BDS has kind of like focused on primarily, like all the businesses BDS tells you to boycott are ones that are doing stuff in the occupied territories. Mm-hmm. So not even like a full Israeli boycott. It would just be like any business that does work in those two territories. Mm-hmm. It's been tabled a lot because while popular with the Irish people, it's a bold move in terms of foreign policy positions, especially for Ireland, which exists very much in America's sphere of influence.
Gosh, yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. And this kind of threat, because it's come back up again, naturally enough, since October 7th, people have taken interest in this bill again, have been pushing for it to like finally be passed. And as a result of this being talked again, the Claire Cronin, who is the US ambassador to Ireland, sent an email warning of consequences, quote unquote, for Ireland if the Occupied Territories Bill proceeded. Sent the email at 2:33 p.m. Sent it to the Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary General Joe Hackett. Department of Enterprise address as well as Taoiseach Simon Harris and Department of the Taoiseach Secretary General John Callanan, Assistant Secretary for EU and International Division Helen Blake, US Deputy Chief of Mission Michael Clausen, and another State Department official also received it. So, like, you know, she was looping in people in the US to this email. So, some quotes from the email. I'm closely following developments related to the Occupied Territories Bill as our colleagues in Washington, wrote Cronin. We are concerned that if enacted in its current form, the bill would cause economic uncertainty for the almost 1,000 US companies operating in Ireland because the US Export Administration Act prohibits companies from complying with an unsanctioned foreign boycott. The ambassador told the officials to conduct their due diligence to avoid any unforeseen consequences. I encourage your teams to conduct thorough due diligence to the bill's potential impact to avoid any unforeseen consequences that could detract what you hope to achieve with this legislation.
Okay, so what are the consequences, Girly? Please let us know.
My team is happy to connect to your AG and enterprise teams with the relevant offices in Washington for discuss to ensure the best outcome. Yeah. 30 minutes after this, I believe it was 90 minutes. Yeah, sorry. An hour and a half later after this email was received, Micheál Martin, the kind of the Taoiseach, the vice prime minister of Ireland, went and put the bill under review again, basically delaying it. So yeah, the consequences have been read pretty. So this was reported by The Ditch, which is an investigative journalist outlet here in Ireland that exists mostly to, like, most of their work. They've done a lot of good stuff with Israel Palestine, but most of their work exists to kind of like point out very obvious and illegal corruption by like politicians, like kind of like almost like the American equivalent of, like, you know, Department of Dog Catching for some place called like Intercourse, Iowa. And like very small fry like corruption stuff that is just like, I think every Irish person knows that kind of shit goes on, but they put it into the media and get people talking about it. And it's been reported by a handful of times by other journalists that like the name The Ditch is getting like cursed under the breath of various Irish politicians. So I have nothing but respect for them.
Did I not see that they're going to court as well? They're being sued by someone.
They're no, other way around. They're suing the Irish government.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Because one of the things they've also been doing is they've been doing a lot of flight tracking stuff. You know, like you can just, you can do all that kind of stuff. And they're proving that even though the government has constantly said that like no weapons from the US are going to Israel through Irish airspace, they're able to just like track all the flights, mostly FedEx flights from like the States to Tel Aviv. And they routinely go through Irish airspace. Okay. So I believe that is part of why they're doing this. The threat is pretty clear that like Ireland's recent success, although I do think it's probably like an over dependency, but like, yeah, American employers running their European head offices here in Ireland for the tax break mostly. Like I think one of the most recent events that Claire Cronin, the ambassador, did was she like spoke hang on, the 1st of November, 10 days after warning the government about economic consequences of the passing of the Occupied Territories Bill. Cronin posted a photo on social media standing alongside Taoiseach Simon Harris, announcing 550 more Microsoft jobs in Dublin. So, you know, just very like, this is what we do for you. So you have to play ball. Which sucks. But we know this is how America operates. The first thing I did when I saw this is I just posted the Lyndon B. Johnson quote about like Greece is a flea, Cyprus is a flea, Turkey is a flea. America is an elephant, and if you keep acting out of pocket, America will smack these countries.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for a while.
Do you think
yeah,
because the ambassador did like CC some American politicians, right? The state secretary.
Who did she send it to? U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission. Okay. So yeah.
Okay. Do you think that like she got the approval of anybody before being like, guys, there's gonna be consequences?
Yeah, that's got to be something like. So we can talk about like embassies to a certain extent. Like a lot of embassies are used for spying. That's kind of like a known about thing.
100%.
Yeah. But then there are such a thing as like joke embassies, right? Like, for example, like one of the things that if you lived in Dublin, you'll know is that like on your way into town on the south side in these lovely red brick buildings, there's kind of like an embassy row where like a bunch of like really important embassies are, like so the American embassy is and stuff like that. But then like further south on the coast near Dalkey, which is a very like well-to-do part of the area, there's like the embassy for like Morocco, because like what do Ireland and Morocco do with each other? Fucking nothing. So like the Moroccan ambassador to Ireland is just the king of Morocco's favorite guy. It's just like, here, have a house on the Irish coastline and just chill. The American ambassador to Ireland should be realistically one of those like cushier jobs. Like, for example, the Irish ambassador to the UK, like that's a busy embassy because there's a lot of Irish people in Ireland and that like stuff does come up. But mostly he just like chills, goes to events and tries to get people not to say the British Isles. That's like all he does. And like the American ambassador to Ireland is probably like a similar thing. Just like show up on Paddy's Day and like do some waving or whatever. But it really shouldn't be a high stakes.
Hand out so many Red Sox hats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like it's one of those things where like, oh, if you're doing something, if you're making a statement like this, that's not what your job was meant to be. This was meant to be kind of like a relatively cushy job.
Yeah.
Right. This is the kind of statement you would get from like the American ambassador to like
Russia.
No. Yeah, like not even that. Like, what's on the edge? What's like a country that could?
No, I mean like Germany would be a good example of this. Like that's
maybe,
a pretty
or like
that's a pretty intense position for like the U.S. ambassadorship to Germany is quite serious, and they normally
or like I was more thinking like a Latin American country that is like dancing with the idea of maybe joining BRICS, and they're like, don't do that. That's the kind of
I mean, like, remember the U.S. and Germany had a similar thing when Germany made a special exception for Nord Stream. Like, that was very much against U.S. interests. Like, a U.S. ambassadorship to Latin America is like, you're in our pocket, baby. Don't you dare, or I'm going to overthrow your country.
Yeah.
Not quite the same.
Yeah, that's true. But that's happening. So just thought I would commit that to recording. So because it's not a story I think a lot of people, not even within Ireland, are hearing about, because it's done by like such a niche, is that the wrong word? An oft ignored media outlet in Ireland.
Not
because
mainstream.
They tend to talk about stuff that like they're very good investigative journalists. Don't get me wrong, but like they are ignored by a lot of other mainstream places because they are basically clowning on them in terms of like quality.
Yeah.
As we do here to
welcome to Corner Späti.
Yeah, welcome to Corner Späti, where we dunk on. No, we don't. But I wish
we dunk on those bitches at the Irish Times. Boo,
boo.
I mean,
I did listen to their analysis of the U.S. election. They didn't even mention Palestine like fucking once. It was weird.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of, let's talk about what's happening in Amsterdam pretty much like right now as of recording.
I love when Israelis find out that they're not a particularly beloved set of people or type of person outside of, I don't know, the US and their own quote unquote state.
I mean, it's like it's the media trading thing, right? What's the joke that like what goes around on Twitter of like Israeli tweeting in English, just like, I believe in peace and togetherness, man. Israeli tweeting in Hebrew, it's time to cut down the tall trees. I think like football fans or like people acting out of pocket at Eurovision and stuff is an example of like, or like the TikToks you were getting out of Israel were like, oh no, these are a bunch of people who haven't had the like Israeli media training of like how to like talk to the West, basically.
Oh no, like
and
they have, because they were doing all this in Hebrew, so they just were doing the same thing they do in real life of just like, like peace, love, football. I will murder your family. Like,
It was crazy though, because during the they also actually they do have beef with everybody, because during the before the match started, they put up the screens had a message like, let's have a minute of silence for the victims in Valencia, and they started screaming louder. They didn't respect that, obviously. They
set off fireworks and stuff as well.
It's even
go on.
Oh no, the thing that's just even odder is that this happened at against a club that they are friendly with.
And it wasn't even a Spanish club either. It was
but like Ajax has like a friendship. Their fans have a friendship with Maccabi Tel Aviv. So it's like even like more insane on the fact of that they're coming for it, which I completely forgot that they haven't been banned from any European or world competitions. While Russia was banned, immediately, and Belarus was banned as well. But it's just, this slipped my mind until I saw like, oh, okay, yeah, Champions League starting again. Like, Maccabi Tel Aviv's next game is against Besiktas in Turkey, which is going to go swimmingly, probably.
Oh no.
But yeah, so it's like, it's the stupidity of the fact like that, one, that they're coming. I mean, football hooligans, regardless, annoying in so many different regards. But you have like a very, right wing gang of men going around, and like behaving like the frat boys of Europe, I guess you could call it. That's kind of the way. I mean, Israel is just like the frat house of the European countries. They love shitty EDM. They do like this kind of crap, and like they get away with everything, just as like frat guy that got away with everything because his dad's a lawyer.
Yeah, it was going pretty peaceful. Like everybody hated them, but it was going pretty peaceful until they literally started, because Amsterdam is a quite pro-Palestinian city in general. There's a lot of flags on balconies and stuff. And they literally started...
And the student protests there were huge as well.
Exactly. And they literally started getting on people's balconies or windows and ripping down the Palestinian flags that these people had. And that's when, people that were there, like, what the fuck are you doing? And everything started. Because as you said, they were chanting stuff, but mostly in Hebrew or stuff like that you don't really know what they're saying unless you speak Hebrew, obviously. So at first it was like, they're being annoying, whatever, but nobody knew that they were literally chanting "kill all Arabs," which is basically what they were saying.
And then also the like, "there's no schools left in Palestine" was another part of their chant.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, or Gaza, I think.
They even brought Mossad there too, which is one of the silliest things.
Fucking RTE in Ireland is like reporting that Benjamin Netanyahu is going to be sending 2 rescue planes over to get them.
Yeah.
Apparently, like 3 people went missing too. Like,
man, they're nothing without air support, huh? They can't.
Yeah, I know, right?
Nothing without air support.
Yeah, they can't even they can't even just do basic. I mean, like, yeah, they can't even do basic football hooliganism without just like, I don't know, getting taken hostage or some shit.
But it's funny because like if you're a hooligan, you're gonna end up, in a fight probably if you seek out the other hooligans. But this wasn't even like against other hooligans. It was literally against some Amsterdam citizens, some
terrorizing the locals.
Yeah.
They were terrorizing the locals, and the locals were like, no, not in my fucking city. And they started getting beaten up. But if like, if you're gonna talk the talk, like if you're gonna be ripping out people's flags out of their fucking balconies and being a dickhead, then
well, this is the funny thing, is just like all the journalists coming in and being like, this is the first time I've ever seen this kind of display at a football match.
Yeah.
Well,
have you seen the thing that how now German media is twisting it? This is getting even weirder.
Oh yeah,
all right.
Kristallnacht, ne?
No. Now they're blaming the Palestinians not for like beating them up. That, of course. Now they're saying that then, because they're coming around full circle of like, okay, well, maybe they started it. Like maybe, but then they're all like, oh, well, actually, it's the Palestinians' fault because they went out of their way to hang up flags in order to intimidate them.
Oh my God, fuck off. And how do you even know? What? So many non-Palestinian people have the Palestinian flag because they don't understand
also,
the word
like,
solidarity.
Yeah. Also, in the sense too of like, if I knew that then like a shitty ultra right wing Israeli team full of absolute fucking knuckle dragging losers was coming into my city, yes, I would do that.
Yeah.
Like you are allowed to do that. Like it doesn't justify the sense of these absolute just Neanderthals losing their fucking minds like football fans do. And
if there was a flag that pissed off Lazio fans this much, people would be doing it.
Yeah, it'd probably be a hammer and sickle. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like just the communist flag.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that then you have really dumb men walking around typically drunk attached with politics. Like, something bad is like, I mean, this is not even just in this sense, but like football hooliganism is a huge problem in Germany with Nazis for exactly that reason. I remember like Yulia and I would go to the Babelsberg games when they would play Dynamo Berlin, and you would have signs everywhere saying that like the symbols that cannot be brought in by the other team, which were all Nazi symbols, they had to have an area between the fan groups because they would throw shit at each other all the time. So and they would go into the street and get in fights with people too. So it's like, yes, like not to say that then like left-wing fans don't also, do problematic shit, but right-wingers in football bullshit are way more known for being just, these absolute violent lunatics. So why do you then excuse it now? It's magically just because they're no, dude, like people were getting pissed off at them breaking stuff the whole time. If this was like, I don't fucking know, German team 1 versus German team 2 or whatever, and they played in like England for the Champions League and this happened, everyone would get rightfully mad about football hooliganism for the absolute just nonsense that it is.
Like they did with the British and the Scottish.
Yeah, exactly.
During the Euros this summer. Nobody was excusing them then,
Yeah, and when you have like a football hooliganism culture combined with then like kind of American style, troop behavior of like you go to Europe, you do whatever you want and you can get away with it, then you have like, and it's, like the media once again is not even just like irresponsible, but the level of contortion that they're doing with this is just getting like, it's no reason that when you read a poll that it's like 60% of people in this country don't believe any media. It's like, if I can go and look on my phone in 3 seconds what actually happened, and I'm like, because I was on the U-Bahn earlier today, and it was like anti-Israeli violence in Amsterdam. It's like, no, it wasn't. Like, this was like justified that people were beating them up for doing a shit ton of like, one, that they were already doing this for like 2 days beforehand. They kept beating people up for being Palestinian and harassing taxi drivers and harassing people who were clearly, Arab, and they got their shit handed to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even like Palestinian. I think it's mostly like
Arab.
For what the Netherlands would be mostly like Moroccan.
Yeah.
And then the thing that's even crazier too is that then, like, I saw this as well on in the U-Bahn, is that then they take the images of the fans breaking things and then they say that it's the like the anti-Israeli mobs, and it's like, I can see
Israeli Hassa.
Yeah, it's like I can see in the picture that like they have the team colors on. Yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You know what? Like
I do love that German media is going with the explanation that like Palestinians went and planted the flags beforehand. Because that's like been one very consistent thing that I've seen like German media really dance around as hard as they possibly can, which is the opinion of the nations and allies, or people of like their closest allies, like other EU members. That would be like, gun to my head, Germany's closest allies are probably other EU country members, right? Mm. That's like the countries they are most tied to, right? And they do not want to talk about like what the mood on the ground is on like in Amsterdam, for example, in like the fucking the deputy prime minister of Belgium fucking called like I think just like again called what's happening in Gaza genocide over the whole like statement.
I saw that. Yeah.
I think that was off the back of the statement released that like people wouldn't be allowed return to North Gaza. Yeah, she was like, that's ethnic cleansing. And I was like, yeah, okay, so like basically a member of like the government of like one of your closest allies, the place where like the country in which the EU sits, has said this now, and like German media, German like landscape just does not want to acknowledge it. Doesn't want to acknowledge like Macron calling for ceasefires. Doesn't want to call like, and all of this is like purely rhetorical. Don't get me wrong.
No, like Germany's weird about this because on that one they do the thing where they because this was a recent thing in the Bundespressekonferenz this week, because journalists mentioned the situation of North Gaza, and Germany just does this thing that like, well, we're talking to Israel and we're telling them that that's a bad idea and that they're breaking international law. So they acknowledge that this thing is horrific, but they think that then it's like, because Israel's their best friend, they're going to listen to them. And like Germany is so full of themselves of like, well, you know what, they'll listen to us because we murdered them. It's like, dude, no, like Israel's listening to no one. And to the point that like the country is going to collapse.
Jewish state, if I made a Jewish state, the one country I'm not listening to
is Germany. No, and it really it's going to be wild seeing this like continuously get worse and worse and worse, to the point that then that like if there ever is a day that comes that then like the modern Israeli state just like collapses in itself, Germany's not going to know how to like react, because they're just going to be like, oh, well, we were talking to our best friend for so long. What happened? They're not picking up the phone anymore.
And now a lot of them live here.
Yeah.
I do really like, I didn't want to admit it for the longest time, but I genuinely think that like Germany, or large parts of Germany, is going to become like the Perth for like Israelis who leave, like Israeli Jews who leave.
Dude, yeah, because like let them. They should. Like Germany should.
For anyone who doesn't know what reference. If anyone I don't know what reference I'm making, a lot of white South Africans went to Perth, Australia after the end of apartheid.
Yeah, I mean, like Germany will take care of them as they should. I don't give two shits if they. I mean, there's plenty of pockets of land in this country that are completely free.
Yeah. I don't know. Bottom line, the footage was very funny because they were scared shirtless, because they were not actually, going against kids. They were going against
Adults.
full-grown adults, and they beat the shit out of them. And they even made one say "Free Palestine" because
when they threw him in the river.
He was shitting it so badly. It was like, ooh, and they made him say "Free Palestine." It was really funny. And yes, they threw him in the river, which is also quite funny. So yeah, lovely scenes coming out of Amsterdam.
Like, at the best of times, when you just go to Amsterdam and you get a little bit drunk and things get a little bit messy, you fall into a canal. That's just like what happens there. And that's probably where those missing people are. They probably just fell into the canal.
Yeah, exactly. The canal is now anti-Semitic.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, you
fucking hate to see
There's
it.
a German journalist writing that right now.
Hey, old Pulsar, I know you listen to this. There's a free one right there. Just wrap 2 paragraphs around that. That's a headline.
Yeah.
It's insane. I know we pay attention to Ulf on Twitter, but it is genuinely insane if you ever look at the writing he does for Die Welt. Like, every article is minimum 3 paragraphs long. It's like so lazy.
Dude, I would do no work if I was cashing in 200,000 euro checks. I would be on this show. I would be on this show so infrequently if I could make that much money. I would just become doing ad libs at that point, which I kind of already am, but yeah.
Just be like, me and Uma would talk and then you just chime in every so often crazy.
Yeah, crazy. What?
Dude, what?
Yo, dude, what?
Fucking what?
You said what? Yo, damn.
That's so not. Yeah. That's most of the Joe Rogan clips I see. I'm not gonna lie.
I am our Joe Rogan, exactly.
People were so angry at the Hawk Tua podcast, but I'm like, she's engaged. She's snappy. Joe Rogan sits there like a big lump. She's got she's engaged.
She's her accent is fun. I will give her that. But she's the dumbest person I've ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Even Joe Rogan
I've met dumber people than her by far.
Oh no! You have not seen the clips on Twitter? She is honestly. Apparently, she was still. No, I'm not gonna say that. Whatever. Yeah, very, very dumb person.
My point is, she's dumb and awake. Joe Rogan is dumb and asleep. That's and I'm sorry, dumb and awake is more entertaining.
Yeah,
I love dumb and awake.
Very much so. But have you guys ever tried DMT?
No.
Speaking of,
DMT?
There's no way to relate this. We probably have to talk about the other thing that happened on election night, which is, or shortly after the US election, which is the German government we have to say collapsed, right? This is the government collapsing.
It's free falling. Yeah. It's not officially collapsed, but it's, I do appreciate that, Germany said, no, US, hold my beer. I'm going to be wackier today. And
yeah.
It genuinely, correct me if I'm wrong, but it genuinely seems like Schultz has realized that, in the 11th hour, and way too fucking late,
that he's the chancellor?
Well, in that way, yes. It's fucking time to govern. But, that the economic politics of Lindner in all ways, but particularly in this moment, is psychotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what triggered is because he fired Lindner. That's the whole thing why it's collapsing. Or
I was so happy.
Right?
When I got that headline, I was so happy.
It was really funny. But I think the trigger was that Lindner himself said that we as in Germany, should have snap elections.
Which... Yes, exactly. Yeah. Which is one of the most delulu fucking things I've ever heard of. Because look at why, if you were in the FDP, you should be praying to God that elections don't happen next year because your party is at 4%.
There's like a chance they don't get in.
Yeah, no, like it is practically a guarantee, and at this point, it's even more of a guarantee because, like the FDP, as we talked about in 2021, got in because of like Twitch streamers, like German Twitch streamers during COVID. Bumped that party up so much by being like, oh wow, like I'm gonna do Pokemon cards online, just like the Paul brothers or whatever. And in that, they like promoted, these like libertarian economic ideas. And then ever since then, because it's a multitude of weaknesses, right? It's the sense that Scholz bought into Lindner's bullshit of like, oh, I'm going to make you. First off, the idea that the FDP ends up in this coalition at all shows the foolishness of the SPD and the Greens. So that why would you work with a party that then is ideologically trying to sabotage the government the entire time so that they can work with the CDU and hope that they don't tank in the polls. And of all the parties,
the entire European economy,
like
not even just
Germany, So this entire time, Scholz and Lindner have been particularly at each other's necks for particularly things like the Schuldenbremse, which is the German constitutional law that Germany can't have a budget deficit. Which is psychotic for a modern economy. And I don't know. I mean, we've talked about how Lindner very much has this cult of personality around him, that he has a bunch of yes men around him. And he originally, in the previous coalition of 2016, when there was the possibility that the FDP would have been in coalition with the CDU, he came in there, big dick swinging, thinking that then he was going to get the finance ministry, and they just laughed at him and they just stopped doing talks with him because they're like, "Are you serious? This is a CDU led government. This is one of the most important ministries. No, like you're not."
Which I think was even like the first mistake, because I think even like the smarter move would be like, yeah, have them in the coalition, get their votes, but like in the cabinet, give them the like Ministry of Dogs or something. Yeah,
like
don't
give them ministry
like,
or some shit like that. like something that the
we can make up all sorts.
Yeah, they can
Ministry
literally
for
make up
affairs.
a new ministry. That's true. Like Merkel did for what's his name, Horst Seehofer, where she made the Heimatministerium.
Oh yeah, that was
we forgot about that one. But yeah, so like Lindner's been gunning for this position, then gets it, and then gets just kind of like laughed at throughout Europe. Like even like the Financial Times and the Economist were writing op-eds of like Germany's finance minister is like out of his mind. Which is when you've lost them, you've kind of lost all European libs.
He was so fundamentally out of time. Yeah, like. Lindner is, in a sense, kind of like a Shakespearean tragic figure, because he gets everything he wants in late 2021, and then like Russia invades Ukraine, COVID, the long effects of COVID on supply chains also means that like, look, this David Cameron-esque austerity politics.
Like Cameroon, the country.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was trying to avoid. But like this David Cameron-esque austerity politics is now like 10 years out of date as something that is going to work. Sorry, man, you missed your fucking shot. History has steamrolled you. And like, the first thing, as a friend of the show, Hugh, who has been on the show like ages ago, the morning after this happened, just texted me being like, do you think Olaf put on the eye patch again to fire him?
I hope so. Yeah, this is the thing though too, is that Olaf Scholz then comes back with then Lindner saying that he wants snap elections, which again I'm just like wondering of like, do you read?
He's
do you
stupid,
look? Do you look outside?
Yeah.
Do you see that people hate this government?
He
Especially
lives in a bubble.
He really does. I mean, I think he just like is probably like huffing all the fumes from his Porsche at this point. But like, like he then Scholz just says no and kicks him out, just fires him. There's no even like. But
this is always the response of how you destroy a person like Christian Lindner is you be the first person to say no to him.
Yeah, really.
That's like. Do you see the press conference where he looked like he was about to fucking cry?
The funniest thing of that, I wanted to talk about this so badly. At the end of this conference, when he's like, "Okay, good night, whatever," this one journalist goes, "Are you gonna get unemployment money?"
Yes.
Yeah, no, not even his unemployment money. They ask if he's going to apply for Bürgergeld, which is like the next step above unemployment money. Yeah, that rocked. Especially, so and then the thing that's the funniest too is that then because Lindner has this, the cult of personality around him, he's been assuming, all right, I'm fired. Everyone's got to come with me. The FDP removes himself from the coalition as such, because it could have just been that then like Lindner loses his job, they put someone else, but the FDP is like, no, we're out. The
Lindner party.
The education minister steps down, and the justice minister, Marco Buschmann, who also is very bad at his job, both step down. But then the funniest is that then Volker Wissing, who is the transportation minister, decides, nah, I'm going to stay in the government to leave the FDP. And just kind of turns his back on Lindner. Like, okay, transportation ministry is quite important for Germany, for car country. There is very much, I think we've talked about him previously as well, of like the person who's probably going to be gunning for the position in the next government is Andreas Scheuer, who is very deep and very corrupt in the CSU. There's an episode that Yulia and I did forever ago talking about how like insanely corrupt he is, which I forgot all the things there, but they're very, he's just sketchy CSU guy. So there is this kind of thing that the members of the CDU and CSU are already kind of like prepping themselves of like, where to go. And now, like Germany's going to be having new elections at least in March. They're kind of, doing there, but some parties are demanding that Scholz does a, confidence vote next week, which is pretty much being led by Friedrich Merz. I know that the other opposition parties have called for it, and the lovely I don't know what the fuck they are party, Bündnis Wagenknecht, have also declared that they want immediate new elections, which is insane to think of.
I don't like SPD want to do a confidence vote in January.
Yeah.
Is that they're like, we'll have a confidence vote, but it'll be after the holidays or whatever. Which like, I guess they're trying to be caretaker for a while and try turn this around by pressing the big obvious, you might have to do some wartime Keynesianism fucking button and hope that endears people to you before an inevitable election.
Yeah, because like last night I was down at the Bundestag, and so this was on the 7th, which has then now been a day since it's happened. Yeah. And there were already like cars lined up of AfD supporters in front of the Kanzleramt. With German flags, playing the worst fucking music you've ever heard in your life, with signs that say "New elections now." And so it's very clear that then the only moment that Scholz has ever had like been a leader, as in telling Christian Lindner to pick up his toys and get out of his government, causes a turn of events that will most likely lead to a far right wing government. Which is horrible.
That kind of sucks. It really robs the joy that we were experiencing of like fuck Lindner, bye bitch. Really kind of like.
But and especially on the back of that like bizarre. I mean, we didn't talk about this yet on the show, but the like anti-Semitism resolution that then passed with flying colors in the Bundestag. That people are getting this wrong online. This is why I wanted to address this, is that it is picking up the IHRA definition for anti-Semitism and it's primarily going with organizations to target organizations, off of what is called like Israel-directed anti-Semitism, which is very much a bullshit reason, but it does not put in jeopardy you getting your citizenship taken away. And I keep seeing this like going around everywhere.
Yeah.
The resolution's 4 pages long, and if you can't read German, you can then translate it with DeepL or something like that. It does say that if you're applying for German citizenship and you've been involved in certain groups of that sort, it can then, put that into question. But that's already existed in in German
That's
law,
not new.
more or less. The second thing is that then a resolution, and I'm not trying to like downplay this. This is horrible and stupid that the German government is trying to pass this. The German government tried to pass something similar in 2019, and it got immediately struck down for being illegal. A resolution
Like
is also
anti-constitutional.
exactly. A resolution is simply then we want to make this thing law. It has to then be reviewed by the constitutional court, and most likely again, because it has come under plenty of harsh criticism from plenty of Israeli groups as well as just other human rights organizations, that this is a stupid, very misleading resolution. But nonetheless, that the parties that then they're standing behind it, the CDU is the one who presented it into the Bundestag. You had Beatrix von Storch, who is a high-ranking member of the AfD, whose grandfather was Hitler's finance minister. Let's not forget that.
Saw that.
Giving this resounding, approval that this is what we need to do to take down anti-Semitism, particularly imported anti-Semitism. That conversation must go be very interesting at her dinner table, where she has like literal Obergruppenführer for like uncles and shit like that. So like the people, the typical parties that then are weaponizing anti-Semitism to be racist are going to most likely be in the government. I don't know how long this apparent AfD firewall thing is going to last for, because I do think that at some point the CDU is going to say, fuck it. They're cool. We have the AfD is comprised of mostly former CDU people. It's just a waiting
Germany
game
could
at this
also do
point.
they could also do confidence in supply.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's not technically a coalition.
But they'll vote with them on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just vote for our guy. Metz is kind of getting ready to take advantage of this moment. I've seen the CDU are also just like talking about like, yeah, fuck that Schuldenbremse. I don't give a shit about that Schuldenbremse. That's fucking, we can change that. Who gives a shit?
The generation of the people in the CDU who are obsessed with the Schuldenbremse, they exist still. Merz is one of these people. That's kind of one of the things that then he kind of hammered Scholz on of like when it came to money for the Bundeswehr and money for Ukraine and stuff like that. He's like, no, we need to like put more money, like the 100 billion that they were talking about putting into the military, but it has to come from a special fund. It can't come from, we can't go into a deficit over this. However,
just make cuts.
Yeah. However, this could also just, you're right. The CDU is not nearly as ideologically bound to this side. Like they could get rid of it tomorrow and be like, yeah, sure, you put us in government, we'll spend. Because at the end of the day, the Sozialmarktwirtschaft is the thing that Germany and the CDU has always been quite supportive of. You can't I think that you can never really make the claim that they were really ever a neoliberal party. They have wanted Germany's bizarre mercantilist system to kind of function forever. And if they're seeing the kind of cracks in the foundation that are happening, they'll spend money when needed to. Like I don't think that they're nearly as large of economic fundamentalists as the FDP are.
And it won't be like don't get us wrong, it's not going to be good. It's going to be going into the pockets of like Volkswagen or Siemens.
Yeah,
or
it'll
like
be
German big companies.
It'll be directly, in some form of another. Whether it be, they already get things like tax breaks and stuff like that, but it'll be a kind of, you could see it form itself in a more American style of it, or it could just be literally what sometimes the German government does because they have like seats in these companies. They just like hand them money, they do have like Deutsche Bahn, for example, is a entity that then is technically private but is owned entirely by the German government. You know, but don't be seeing, you know, your transit getting better. It'll probably just be like routes that then connect VW plants.
Yeah. More trains to Wolfsburg.
Every 5 minutes, you can take a train from Berlin to Wolfsburg.
Yeah,
only if you're a car, though.
Only. They have one of the, like, they bring out those old East German trains that you used to be able to drive your car onto and go on holiday to, like, Bucharest. Those things were sick. But like only between Wolfsburg and Berlin. The only other thing that I thought about in regards to this, if I'm going to put like a slight positive spin, right, was in my head I was like, Scholz is playing this game where he wants to gamble the idea that he can turn polling around in basically 2 months, and off of getting rid of what is the obvious weak link, or like the thorn in your side. Weak link is probably the wrong word. Thorn in your side, which is the fucking FTP. And I'm like, okay, but how quickly in the history of German elections, how quickly has public opinion changed? Like how quickly has something in the polls changed that drastically? And the first thing that came to mind was Laschet. Yeah. Like before Laschet fucked up, we really thought in 2021 we were going back to another like GroKo, basically, like CDU-led GroKo.
Mm-hmm.
And they picked their weakest candidate, and they just, like, you know,
completely flubbed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Germany does have short election cycles, too. So I think that then, like, all right, I'm going to come out. Every fan of the show can, you know, shit on me and call me a lib or whatever. I think that I want to see Scholz turn it around. I want to see Scholz like win the chancellorship again. I know that he's horrible. I know that Ampel was a horrible mistake, this and that and that. But I think that then that he can easily probably put a lot of this blame on the FDP, rightfully so. And, you know, which like the FDP was the large thorn in the side of this government. This government is horrible on a lot of things. Like,
we shouldn't have made that 14-year-old the finance minister. That was a fucking terrible mistake. I'm sorry. We've learned. We've grown. We've got someone else. We're
reflecting on our previous mistakes. We're keeping the post up so we can learn. And but I really like, because it's the sense too of them. It's like, well, what's the old like the like Scholz could come and be like, well, now that he's out of the way, hey, we're gonna like try to like do all this stuff in the next couple of months and push in a lot of like, you know, they still need to do like hospital and insurance reforms that never really got passed because of all this stuff. The people that they've put in position have been neoliberal ghouls, like what's his name, the health minister, I forget his name, doesn't matter, the really nerdy looking guy, and they've, you know, the Greens and them have been war hawks, and these are all absolutely like negative aspects of the governing coalition. But with the alternative being with Merz, who is I can't tell the difference between his rhetoric and the AfD's, to be honest. Like, there is no difference now. At least the SPD looks nicer, and at least the SPD has the possibility then also to like maybe take a few pointers from then, like you said, Keynesianism again, if they were smart. And they can do a lot of stuff within the next few months. Like, they actually can.
Yeah, and like it was like, I mean, you saw something like Sinn Féin is kind of in the toilet now, but you saw something similar happen with Sinn Féin prior to 2020, right? There was one round of elections in Ireland where they ran on a left-wing platform, and that didn't do too well. And then in an EU local elections, because we hold them at the same time, they ran on being like more classic Sinn Féin of it's just republicanism and we're not really that left wing, don't worry about it. And that fucking bombed. That ate shit real bad. So for the 2020 election, they come back with like, we're left wing. And that did really well. And I could see like a similar thing happening with Schultz, because like they went 2021 election posters with like, we're going to raise minimum wage. We're going to fix all these like fucking long-standing problems, actual material concerns. Did really well. Then you go into the EU election and it's just like strong voice for Europe.
Security.
Yeah.
And that shit did horrible. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, the SPD needs to go back to basics. So, I mean, like this makes me think of the statement that like Bernie Sanders wrote about why the Democrats failed, like nailed it on the head of why they lost. Didn't, blame, a certain group of minorities or whoever, a voting bloc, whatever, simply pointed
Americans
to the
love
fact,
doing that.
Yeah, Bernie pointed out to the fact that the Democratic Party had removed itself far too much from the American people, and they responded as such. And the SPD, in the typical sense of just general neoliberalism, which is clearly on its deathbed, did the same. And when they ran on the little bit more material things, given, yes, against maybe the easiest candidate to run against in Armin Laschet, they won the election. After coming off of one of their largest defeats in the party's history. Like the SPD, if I'm not mistaken, had never had that bad of a result since like Engels was a member of the party. Like back in like 2016 or something like that, where they had, like the massive party overhauls. I mean, the SPD needs to go back to basic tenets of social democracy. Yes, they are not a good party, and the Greens are not a good coalition partner in this and that. But we do have to end though on the best part of all this, which thank you to Uma for sharing this in the chat. Speaking of the Greens,
let hang on. Uma shared it. Let Uma describe what you found.
Absolutely.
Show for the class.
I mean, it's funny because it's like a proper article as well. It's not like someone who kind of just saw it and they were like, haha, making fun of him. It's like an Euronews article that says that the Deputy Chancellor Robert Habeck is set to announce his candidacy for Chancellor on Friday for the Greens because he was spotted wearing a bracelet reading Chancellor Era on a video that he posted on Twitter. So, okay, which community manager, which like social media manager thought that it was a good idea for him to wear that?
The Greens,
is it like
the Greens have connections with the DNC. Oh. They do. Like this is just like
they do.
They have a lot of the marketing. Like that's why Luisa Neubauer went to the US to go and knock doors for them. She's a member of the Greens or whatever. Yeah, the Greens have a connection with the DNC. And I'm pretty sure that there is some weird consultant lobbying thing behind them that then it's like, oh, you have to go brat era.
Yeah, you have to. So like this nasty, weird feedback loop of like the Keir Starmer fucking Starmer. I'm pronouncing it as if it's a German name. The Keir Starmer people going over to help Kamala Harris have now returned with all that they've learnt to help the Greens
to help the Greens get the lowest results in history
ever. Like lower than when they used to advocate for pedophilia. Like somehow.
Yeah. They're like, hey, no, you guys in 2024 should bring back the pro-pedophilia stuff.
The people are ready.
Yeah. Well, like the AFD has like these things that like, wir müssen unser Kinder schützen.
Yeah.
The ground is fertile. Just do it. We're bringing back what's your guy's name again for one last job? The guy who's just Israel Posts now. Who did meth?
Daniel Spencer.
No.
Fuck back. But also him. Get him involved too. Get the fucking weird.
I wanted to tweet out the other day of like, oh, yo, I want to be smoking whatever Volker Beck is smoking, but then I realized that he actually has a meth problem.
Thanks.
I mean, I don't think, to be fair, I don't think he does anymore.
No,
he just has a weird posting problem.
I think that he's still. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah,
you can't post like that sober. Let's just
bring back Volker Beck. That's what the Keir Starmer people, after their win in the U.S. general election, come back, just slam a huge piece of paper on Robert Habeck's desk, and it just reads, "Bring back Volker Beck."
Return with the V.
Return of the Mac. Oh, return. I was just like, he walks in the doors.
I don't think Volker Beck could even like. I think that in a matter of like him on the campaign trail, he would say something illegal, as he gets sued all the time, which is so funny.
Oh yeah, you can't give him access to the what I'm sure is the verified German Greens Twitter account. He would just post diatribe. That man exists to have a character limit. Otherwise, it's just going to be like screeching rant about Israel. Anyway, with that has been quite the eventful week.
Wait, I have something to shout out.
Yeah,
because this is coming out on Monday, right?
Yes, it is.
So if you're in Berlin, I've been helping out at the Palestine camp across from the Bundestag. If it is still there on Monday, we would love if you came by. It's we have it's there the whole time. There's activities and stuff during the day. It's just nice to hang out with people during the evening. There is normally some, gathering of, I think they're having like a cultural event thing tonight or something like that. They do demonstrations, this and that and that. Come by, bring stuff, donations of anything like tents, sleeping bags, food, any tape, spray paint, anything to make banners. You can also come by and make banners and stuff like that. It's a really good time. We would love if you came as well, and you can just come and hang out for a little bit and just talk with us. There've been people who just come off the street and been like, "Oh, I know a little bit about this Israel thing. Cool that you guys are doing that." And the cops so far have been quite nice with us. We hope to keep it that way. So, and it was originally done, of course, because of the to protest the resolution, anti-Semitism, or Nie Wieder is Jetzt, or whatever the resolution's called. Started as that. They have it there for, I guess, a few days, 10 days, registered and whatnot. So if it's still there, if you're hearing this episode, come on by. It's a very fun time. I try to go there every day for a couple of hours just to help out. And you can do the same. You can also, if you're really dedicated, you can spend the night in the freezing cold. I do not have the lower back health for that anymore, nor the desire to sit in a tent, but you may. And and if you want to get involved, just come by. You can they can help you get into the groups and whatnot. If you have skills that, can be volunteered, let's say that you're good at tech stuff, or you're good at, graphic design, you want to help make posters online and whatnot. They need literally everything. So,
cool.
Just come by. It's across from the Bundestag. You'll clearly see it. And hopefully we're still there when this comes out.
This actually reminded me, I also have something similar to shout out. If you are in Ireland so not in Berlin, if you are in Ireland, 16th of November, there will be, from I believe 1 p.m. onwards, possibly 2 p.m. might have to look that up. There will be a protest in front of the German embassy.
That's
for
right.
this reason, basically, because the Irish population is very aware of what Germany is acting like in regards to the situation in Israel, Gaza, and is going to protest again. So do come on down. You can look up where the German embassy is, but if you aren't bothered and can remember this, 31 Trimbleston Avenue. come on down, yell at the Germans. If you have experience with Germany, live there, whatever, I think that's also welcome. And you can, try relate to the German ambassador. Be like, no, we do know what Germany's like. We've been there. It sucks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I tried to. Someone suggested that we should do a Corner Späti live show from the camp, but I said that it doesn't work when we're not all here. They suggested just beaming you onto a projector.
Project me onto the Bundestag.
Yeah, that works too. Big Ciarán, the new Chancellor era.
Big Ciarán.
Ciarán is on his Chancellor era.
I'm the only one. Fuck this Habeck. Robert, never heard of you. Anyway, with that, we will catch you on the bonus feed. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.